Hey everybody, it's Justin from Built, and Valentine's Day is coming up in a few days. My wife has told me that I don't need to get her anything. Well, I know better than that, and you still need to get your spouse something, even if they say you shouldn't get them anything. But that doesn't mean go out and buy diamonds and vacations and stuff. Doing something that's heartfelt and personalized goes a long way. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do 3 projects for my wife. None of them are that expensive, but they're all customized and show that I put the effort in, that I care. So that is the way to be a Valentine's Day hero. If you're not going to spend the big bucks, it's all about showing that you do care, right? So what we're going to do is we're taking a pack of Costco heart-shaped macaroons, and we're going to put them in the laser engraver and engrave the same type of slogans you would see on those little sugar heart candies like Be Mine and stuff. So it's more of an adult, refined version of that. Then we're going to make a shadow box out of wood. Normally it needs to be a transparent material, but I figured out a way to design it where we can run some fairy lights through it and it'll look pretty cool. And then there's going to be some cutoffs from that we can take and make a third kind of like family wall art type of project that's Valentine's Day themed. My wife likes to decorate, so giving her more of that type of stuff is good. I'll also have all these files for free for download, so if you want to do the same projects, you can at home. So let's get into it today on Bill. All right, to start it off, I have the Costco heart-shaped macaroons. These are popular on Instagram right now. My wife had actually shown me these in a post, so double win for me. She's going to recognize these and be excited. So typically when you engrave on food, you do not want to put that food directly on any metal part of the laser engraver. You want to put down cardboard, piece of paper, something. Now, this is in a really cool organized tray, so I'm actually just going to put the tray directly in here. I can do that because I'm not going edge to edge on these, so the laser is not going to be off of the cookie at any point where it would melt this plastic. Obviously, if that happened, that would be bad. We've placed the macaroons in my xTool S1 laser engraver. This laser does not have a camera system for batch processing, but it does have an option to still be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is start a marking process inside the software, and I'm just going to choose to make a whole bunch of rectangles. I'm not interested in engraving over the entire heart. I'm only interested in, kind of the main front area of it. So what I do is I just position my laser so that I'm up in the top left corner, and I hit the button, and then I move it to the bottom left corner, hit the button, and then on the software it makes a rectangle. And so I know just in the software now I'm going to make sure that my words fit inside that rectangle. And I just hit end and rinse, wash, repeat. I'm just going to keep doing it. It'll only take me about 2 minutes to do these, and they're all going to come out pretty good. So inside the software now, you see all of these rectangles that I made. Each one of these is one of those macaroon cookies. Obviously, not all the boxes are the exact same size. The macaroons are, a little bit different size. They're a little bit rotated and whatnot. But basically what I was trying to do is make a rectangle for the primo main center of the cookie where I wanted to engrave upon. So as long as I'm maintaining my words inside of these rectangles, I will be totally fine. And since I'm going to make each one different, it's not crazy imperative that it's exactly in the same spot as if we were making it say the exact same thing on every single one of these. I'm going to go ahead and continue copying and pasting and just coming up with all sorts of different words. So let's say like hug me. There we go. All right, all the words are in. Let's go ahead and close the lid on the laser for safety and go ahead and burn it. Okay, that took a total of 3 minutes and 40 seconds to engrave the whole lot of them. I think they came out pretty cool. Next, we're going to make a shadow box. And to do that, you take many layers of material and you'll cut each one to the same overall shape. So all of them will be the same size circle, square, or in my case, we're going to do a heart since it's Valentine's Day. And then on each layer, you're going to create a different scene. And when you put them together and stack them, you can get a very cool three-dimensional type of scene from this. Now, you want to typically have your first layer low, because if you put it high, you can't see anything else, unless it's transparent, of course. But in this case, since we're using wood, we need to make sure that we're stacking it like this. You can, of course, have things that extend up, but you know, it will block whatever's behind it. So you have to take that into account when you're doing your design process. We're in the xTool Creative Space software. I have this file for free download for anybody if you want to go ahead and make this. It's based off of a 12-inch by 20-inch sheet of 1/4-inch plywood. So each one of these layers has different things that it's cutting out. So I have them hidden at the moment just so you can see one at a time. On this layer, I left the billboard empty. So if you want, you can just click the text button. Make sure that your text is on the same layer. There we go. And you can just drag it right on there. Type in something like 224 if that's your anniversary. And just shrink it down and boom, there you go. Customized. So really, really easy. Let me go ahead and delete that. And so this is 3 cuts. 1 cut on this sheet, 1 cut on the black sheet, and 1 cut on the orange sheet. We are all cut out from our xTool S1. I think it came out pretty good. It's dry fit right now, so we need to permanently assemble this. What we're going to do is take 2 pieces at a time, so a spacer and one of the content pieces, and we're just going to spread them out. What we want to do is glue these together now so that we're working with 6 pieces instead of 12 pieces. Now that we have these 6 pieces glued together, this would be the time if you want to paint each one of these individually. Some people might do like a gradient painting going from white to red, you know, like through like the pink spectrum, since this is kind of a Valentine's Day thing. I'm going to keep this natural in wood though, so let's move on to the Christmas light assembly. This final assembly is going to be one of the more difficult parts, so you just have to be patient with it. We're going to feed fairy lights through here. And while that's easy, the important things that we're going to try to look at is that we want to make sure that the lights are placed well and that we still give ourselves some spacing to be able to glue this all together in the end. So it is a tricky procedure to be sure. So we have taken the battery pack and thrown the wire into the back panel through the hole. We're now going to feed the entire strand through the next panel on this hole. So coming all the way through. We're going to make sure that we do not bring any of this fat wire. We only want the fairy light to come through. So we're in. And now we're going to bend it in this direction. So it's going to zigzag between the holes. We want at least 1 diode of light to stay in each panel. So now we're going to go to the couples panel. We're going to feed in. So we came in through the left, now we're going to come in through the right. We're going to go back and forth. The reason why is I want that diode to be here in the middle when we do this. So again, you can kind of see I'm leaving some loose wire and I'm leaving the diode on that side. I'm now going to maybe pinch the wire a little bit, bend it around. I do have a hot glue gun next to me heating up that I could use for this, but I do not recommend using it on the way out. So the first time we're putting it through, we're going to be putting it through the holes twice. So on the way back, if you feel the need to maybe glue a diode over here so that we're getting light where the love is, or more in particular over here on the panel behind it, we can do that. So for this run, we're just trying to make sure that we got a diode here and we move it over. So we've made it to the front. There is still one more panel, but there is no holes in this panel. It's the front one, so we don't actually need to pass anything through. So what we're going to do is now feed it back in and go back through the entire stack. This time when we go through the stack, we're going to be paying attention to where the diodes are landing based on what I want to make sure is lit up. I want to make sure that the J and C has a diode somewhere over here to help light it up. I want to make sure that there's a diode somewhere behind these houses. When we get farther back, all the way to the back, I want to make sure there's one over here by the love so that the love lights up. And of course behind the people. And then again, when you get up to the moon. So, you know, take your time. Obviously you can't pull that hard and you can't separate these that much. Otherwise you're going to pull out the wire from the first time we came through. Now, if we take a look at this, it will probably be a good idea for me to hot glue the blue in place so that it doesn't get pulled out of position as I go through. So one little dab of glue will be fine, just to hold it there. And right before we glue everything into place, we can do some last minute adjustments. So we've made it to the back. At this point, what we're going to do is we're just going to spiral it around our hand. I'm going to do a big loop, so I'm widening my fingers out. So I want it to be in a large area. I'm going to take the loose end and I'm going to kind of ravel it a little bit just to kind of keep it under control. And I can place it back in here. If we put it together at this point, we place that one on top, which hides that line. We're looking pretty good, except we can see a little bit of wires, but we're going to take care of that as we go. So now what we're going to do is glue from the back forward. We're just going to use a couple drops of super glue. Now we're moving to the next level. I don't see any of the wires here, so I think we're pretty good. I'll lift this up. Big thing to do is to make sure that the wires are not caught in this when you go to place them down. All right, we have all the pieces glued together. Now when we flip it over, we're going to shove the rest of this wire into the back, preferably down towards the bottom. We don't want it to accidentally show up at the moon, up at the top. It is going to sit like this, so I'm going to take our hot glue gun and glue this guy into the back. You could add some more spacers in this back area to make it extra deep, where you could fit this inside that back area. However, if you do that, then you have to think about how you're going to flip the switch and how you're going to get the battery pack out. So you would more likely need to put some very small screws in the back so that you'd be able to open it to change out the batteries whenever you want to. Since it's more of an easy method, I just choose to glue it onto the back where you're not going to see it. For our last project, I have a whole bunch of these heart-shaped cutouts that were left over from when we made the shadow box. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to paint each one kind of like a different pink red color for Valentine's Day. And then I'm going to place them in the laser engraver and I'm going to engrave a map to important locations that my wife and I had. So where we first met, where I proposed, where we got married, where we went on our honeymoon. So it'll kind of be like a map to our love, if you want to think about it that way. And then I'll put all four together with a decorative piece of ribbon that's glued to the back, and then that way you can hang it up on the wall. Okay, I've painted my hearts. I even put a coat of shellac on the top to make it a little bit shiny. We're going to enter it into the laser now by just grabbing most of the shape. I didn't need it to be incredibly precise, I just needed to make sure that I had the rough outline of the heart. And so there it is on the screen. I'm going to enter in one of my maps. And so I took some, let's do home. So I went on a web page that does black maps, so monotone colors. And so you can see that my map is way bigger than my heart right here. So I am fine with some overlap. It's just going to, you know, engrave into thin air, so it's not a big deal. My house is right there, so I want it in the middle. So I think this is pretty good. What we're going to do is trace it, because we don't need all of the gray color in the background. We just need the lines. So we're going to hit save and delete the picture. And here is our lines. Now we need to make sure that we put the correct power and speed, which I have at 40 and 150. That's correct. Great. And we're ready to process it. So let's just hit process. Close the lid for safety. Start it. The last thing I need to do is to make some small hearts to actually glue on top of these maps that say what these places are. So this last one that I just did is my home, and so I want to make a heart, but I'm keeping everything up on the screen right now because I want to see how big I should make it. So we can see on this one, if I put this giant heart right here, it might be a little bit big. So I'm going to shrink it down a little bit, and I'm going to use this for all of my hearts going forward. So this is the size. I need to make 4 of these, 1 for each one of these. And I'm just going to end up throwing a extra piece of unpainted ply in here. That way it gives good contrast. Zoom in, and we're going to name our 4 locations. From the previous build, I still have another heart left, so I'm going to cut out 4 small hearts using that wood. I didn't want this painted so that it will be high contrast, and I'm going to have each one of the labels on these hearts saying where we met, our wedding, where we got engaged, etc. So the hearts themselves need to be at a power of 100 for cutting out, and then the words are going to be engraved at a power. Actually, I want it to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to select all 4 of these and raise the power up to about 40. We'll see how that does. Close the lid and give it a cut. So it's all engraved with the map on it. We have our little hearts. We need to glue these on right now with CA glue. And I'm going to have the hearts point to where the actual item is with the pointy part of the heart. This one's for where my wife and I got engaged, which was on the island of Bermuda. I had made a fake clamshell that I had in my pocket so that when my wife and I were snorkeling, I could dive down and be like, oh, check this out, look inside. And it was a fake ring inside because I wasn't going to bring her engagement ring in the ocean. And she immediately took it and chucked it. She was like, ew, no, I'm not going to look in there. It had the ring inside. So eventually I found it again, showed it to her, had a good laugh. And then she got the real one up on the shore. Lastly, we're going to put on the ribbon on the back. So I just lined up the 4 hearts right now just so I could kind of get a good idea of how much ribbon. And there's a weird seam in there. So let's just go ahead and cut it and start it from there. Get rid of that. So I'm leaving a little bit more than what I need. And I'll do a final trim once I'm done. Have my hot glue gun heating up, so I'm going to flip over all of these. I made sure that I have them in order of how they happened. So we met, we got engaged, we got married, and this is our home now. So I'm going to keep them in that position, flip them over. Then we're going to use the hot glue gun to just glue down the ribbon. Make sure that the good side of the ribbon is facing out when you do this. While I'm hot gluing this down, I'm just using a scrap piece of wood that I have just to kind of make sure that the ribbon and the hot glue really go together. If you use your finger, you're probably going to burn yourself, so not recommended. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this back over so that it makes a loop. Gives you a whole bunch of different options as far as mounting goes. We don't need a ton of extra, so we're going to cut it off. Right here. And we're just going to put an ample amount of glue to glue that down again. This is not that heavy, so hot glue is more than fine for all of this. We're all finished. I think it came out pretty good, especially because we made it with the scraps from the other one. And it only took about 20 minutes if you discount the waiting for the paint to dry. So it was a very quick and easy project too. You know, you don't have to break the bank. You don't have to spend weeks on a project to, you know, be a Valentine's Day hero. What really matters is that you show that you put in the effort, that you show that you care, and you have some knowledge about your relationship too is never bad. So those things, you'll go far with your gifts on Valentine's Day. So good luck on whatever you choose to do. I will have the files for free for download for this shadow box. I made all these projects on my xTool S1. I am an xTool affiliate, which means I didn't sponsor this video, but I do get a small commission if you use my links to purchase anything from them. So it helps out the channel, and I appreciate that. They do still have their buyback program going on until the 16th of February, which means if you have a cheapo, open gantry, unsafe laser, they're making a push to only sell their enclosed lasers, which I'm fully behind. I am big on safety on this channel, so if you want to trade in your old open gantry laser, they'll give you up to $500 towards the purchase of a new xTool enclosed laser engraver. So very cool program. Check out my link if you want to check that out. I hope you got some good content from this video. Hope you have a good Valentine's Day, and I will see you in the next video.